Hello, everyone, and welcome to Oops Origami, our live stream for June 6th, 2022. Sorry we're late. Chris was wrestling with the intricacies of an eighth-inch audio jack.
It's a complex thing to figure out that you need to plug it in.
How's that
But
bus
there you
bumper
go.
taste?
Mm, hmm hmm Like this.
What you got there? Ooh.
I have Kilbeggan Irish whiskey small batch rye.
Ah, oh, really? An Irish rye.
An Irish rye. Like
Huh. I mean, why not?
it's it's everything you want in an Irish rye.
Oh, I will have to give that a shot sometime. That does sound interesting.
It's people that are convinced that they don't like rye or don't like Irish whiskey. It you know, it convinces them otherwise.
Okay.
Um it's it's rye, right? Like what
Yeah. Well, I
and
am
it's
a fan of Rise, and for the longest time, as a category, I was not a fan of Irish whiskeys, but I've found some that I like now.
right.
So,
I mean, if your experience with Irish whiskey in the last 10 years has been Jameson, I understand why you're not a fan.
yeah.
The overall quality and nuance of Jameson has really fallen off. Um, when they went to their Caskmate series, they really hollowed out the core of their base brand so that they could do flavor and like some of those other expressions. Um,
And those are interesting. I like those.
they are interesting, um, which is why brands like Tullamore and Bushmills are doing better versus Jameson than they used to because they have not done the same thing. Although both have started to um, branch out into those other expressions as well. I'm not sure how they're doing them. I suspect pretty similar to how Jameson did theirs. You know, you only have so many barrels and you've got to mix them in the way that's most profitable for you. That being said,
This is true.
if the Jameson folks are listening, um, you should go back to the old way of doing business. Overall, your product was um, better, and while it may not have been as appealing to the hipsters, hipsters are fickle anyway. So, you know,
Yeah.
just make a decent product long term, and people will come around to it, or they will never leave. Like me, had they kept the product and the recipe um, consistent with what they'd been doing, I would have stuck with them.
Okay.
I mean, I still will drink their product pretty regularly, but I won't buy their premium stuff. While it is interesting, it is not as good as their previous premium products. And, at that point, if I'm going to drink a more premium price tag Irish whiskey,
Mm.
there's other things out there that I can spend my money on that are
Well, yeah, there
excellent.
very much is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the whiskey that really brought me back around to give Irish as another shot was that Dead Rabbit.
Correct. Well, then I need to
Is
respond to Zigify here in the comments. Uh,
Ah, fair enough. Fair enough.
so let's let the viewing audience who doesn't want to look at comments.
Well, anybody watching on TV, you missed the comments.
That's right. Hipsters. I was into it before it was cool. Yeah, I was uncool before it was cool to be uncool, which means I'm just uncool.
Yeah. I'm standing right in that same line with you.
Brothers.
Whatever. Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
So I'm not gonna lie. I know I said I'd be on, and then I saw the saw the reminder that like show was gonna start soon. I was like, hey,
Yeah.
I should do that.
Caught off guard. I was busy doing some other work, and then all of a sudden it's like 8:20, and I see your text saying you are in after seeing you weren't for a while, or well, like no answer, and I was like, oh well, crap.
And that's fun. I totally sent the in text at like more than 2 hours ago.
Oh really?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
My timestamp shows 6:12 p.m.
oh yeah, I see 6:12 as well.
CDT.
It didn't show up until after 8 o'clock.
Fair enough.
So I didn't get a notification for it until after.
Yeah, it's all right.
That's
It's
odd.
all right.
That usually doesn't happen. Wow.
Oh. Other
Alrighty.
things of note this week. I feel like the ambient background noise has changed.
Yes, and it's much louder now, even though I had
Yeah, it's
half the volume
obnoxious.
it was before.
I mean,
yeah,
I think it's just what it is, right?
that's the level I'd normally hit at, which is
Yeah.
way too loud.
I mean, unless you like that kind of thing.
Well, yeah. Default level is way too loud.
Right. Let's wait. Hold on.
Oh.
Let's do half of that and half of us at ASMR levels.
Hey.
Hi.
Although when we're both remote, I can't mix it so that we're on two different channels.
Here's your
Left and
ASMR
right.
beard.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. gotta give it to you. For those of you that aren't into ASMR,
Sorry.
sorry. Specific channel. It pays really well though.
Not for dudes.
No. ASMR folk don't care. I mean, they care a little. But like this bit, that'd have the ASMR folks going. It's like the next evolution of the Pride community.
Yeah.
And when I say that, like, don't get me wrong, LGBT, LGBTQ, LGBTQ plus, furries, ASMR.
Furries are a little weird.
They are. And then it's
I would put
ASMR after
ASMR
that.
as significantly less weird.
You'd think not, but have you seen the stuff that the ASMR folks are into?
No.
Like, there's the
Okay, that's a little weird. They
right,
love my
mouth
dog.
noises.
He has the loudest mouth. He just, dude, go drink some water or something because it's always just loud.
You should record Ziggy, and start a Ziggy ASMR channel, just like Ziggy mouth noises.
I mean, because he sits probably 6 or 7 feet away from me while I'm working. And sometimes it's obnoxious. Like I have to turn on some music so I don't have to hear his mouth noises. Because he decided he's just going to lick his chops and be loud. And it just gets... Once you notice it, you can't ignore it after that point.
Right? No, I'm right there with you. It's like my cat that decides to purr loud, and it's like, ugh, you're so loud.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, that cat purrs loud enough to like shake the bed. It's a big bed.
That's impressive.
Yeah, no, he puts all of his body English into it. So
go lay down. Speak of Ziggy, Mr. Starful also snores and snarfles. Oh, you, yeah. Sorry, Aurora. No tip button.
No tip
Actually,
button.
I don't even know. I mean, is there one?
Mash that tip button.
Yeah, mash the tip.
Anytime it's involving the tip, don't mash it.
Yeah.
Consider carefully, and then treat it with way more respect than it deserves. Oh, let's see here. So topics, IT operations topics.
Yeah, so I pulled one that we didn't get to cover a while back because, man, I put zero prep into this particular show, even less than normal, which is impressive.
I'm impressed.
It was like, oh God, it's Monday. Let's do a thing.
Right? Ooh. I just got dinged in my ear.
Oh.
It's just Dell telling me things that I don't want to know.
Okay. So the pseudo topic, the throwaway topic that, for lack of anything else to put on there, was effectively what happens when a cloud service you rely on disappears. We didn't talk about this already, did we? I don't think so.
No, we didn't.
Okay. We almost we were tangent to it when we were talking about some cloud services, but never really talked quite about this. And what made me think of it was 2 weeks ago when Amazon decided to cancel their what are they called? Cloud cams. Yeah, their cloud cam indoor security camera, which means absolutely nothing to me. I mean, I have none of them, but this is a thing that happens, especially if you jump. And I'm not even talking about like IoT devices. I'm talking like actual important cloud services that your business may depend on. When you jump on that newfangled thing, that brand new SKU from Microsoft, that new whiz bang thing from AWS, what happens if it doesn't take off to the degree that they hoped it had, but it is now a critical part of your application, of your workflow, of whatever?
Say you'd come to depend on was it Google Circles or Rings or whatever they were, or Google Hangouts.
Yeah. I mean, they moved it all into the email, and I hate it in the email. It's weird and clunky, and I have to click 3 times to get to it. And even I click on notification, and it takes me to my email. Well, it doesn't help me. Now I have to pick the right account, and now I have to dig over whether it's a single message or the Spaces one. Yeah, Google Wave.
Google Wave.
Yeah, that's been gone for a while. Yeah, and those are the least impactful ones. I mean, yeah, it affects users themselves, but nobody probably built a business on any of these things.
So that's my question. Like, there's some cloud services that go away, right? But do they ever really take away like core functionality? I've absolutely been subjected to them taking away a service offering and replacing it with something better.
Yeah.
Like theoretically has all the same features or more, but either costs you more or doesn't work as well or both.
Yeah. Like, oh, we still use that if you do, and you have to bump up to the platinum premium SKU. And it will almost do what you were trying to do before.
Right.
After you rewrite.
Right. Here, let's try a ticker. Look, I made a ticker.
A ticker? I don't see a ticker.
Bottom of the screen. No? Not seeing
Nope.
it?
Nope.
All right, viewers, are you seeing it? No? Okay.
Oh. That is a new thing.
Let's see. Let's try this one.
Oh, it removes
Still.
our names.
Yep. Hey, we got a ticker. It's new. Sorry. This may be the most ADD disjointed show you're ever going to see.
Oh, so Aurora can see it. Yeah, I can't see it, and I also can't see it in the so like the those lower third things, text things you put on, those I can see. I don't see anything under ticker.
So when I do this, you can't see
Yeah.
it.
Nope.
Huh. But this one says tickers are super cool. So
Ah.
at some point, we have 2 of those on the screen.
Oh, well, that's fun.
Any hoozle.
Well, what's
Yeah,
it
I don't
called
know.
on like CNN or whatever when they have the ticker at the bottom, and like a Chiron or Chiron? I can't remember exactly what it is.
Ooh, googly answers. Let's find out. Because this is the most interesting part of any show that we do. Chiron.
Chiron. Okay.
A
How do you
caption
pronounce it?
superimposed over visually or over usually the lower part of a video image. Sometimes
Ah, Chiron. Okay.
I don't.
Thank you, Wikipedia. Oh, sorry, Wiktionary has a pronunciation. Chiron.
Yeah, I don't. Why Chiron?
Centaur in Greek mythology. Why
Yes,
that?
but
I don't
yeah.
know.
Hmm,
It was a company name. It's Kleenex.
fair enough. Okay, got it. Uh, let's see.
That's
Yep.
weird that I can't see it.
I just learned a thing today.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brian.
Yeah. I know the word. I don't know the relevance.
It definitely comes from the company. It literally it's the Kleenex of tickers.
Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate the origin of tickers, like, you know, ticker tape machine generating random text on long string of paper, um, and then becoming like newsworthy. Also,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I think a lot of news organizations make their tickers just either too short or too long. Right? Like if you're gonna cycle through 2 things that chase each other, that's too short.
Yeah.
Also, if it's like 3 words and then a gap and then another 3 words or whatever it is, like too short. But if you're gonna like the school
I
closings on local news as a ticker,
yeah.
nope.
It's
Nope.
tough to
There are
follow.
too many of them.
Yeah. You're waiting 15 minutes for it to come back around.
Right. I need to know whether or not I need to have my kids on the bus now.
Yeah.
How about
For
you?
anybody
Give me
out of the
a
Midwest, we have this stuff called snow, and sometimes it closes school.
ooh. I killed my stream apparently by making a hand gesture. Let me see if I can do it again.
Oh, really? It's
Nope.
still going
I'm
for
not
me.
it.
What if it freeze up on your side?
Yeah.
Uh,
My super fabulous internet connection.
oh yeah, you just went red.
Mm,
Yeah, you're back.
mm.
But you were fine the first time. That's weird that it froze on your side, not mine.
Ah, well. Anyway, you were saying about snow in the Midwest and things.
Oh, yeah. I was just saying, for those that are outside of the Midwest, that's a thing we have.
Yeah, we close
That was
schools.
about it.
Like the weather just decides that school is closed. Um, at which point you realize that government has way less power than the weather. And
Yeah.
that's good to know. It's good to know. Like, you want to know what actually affects your life? It's the weather. Local government and the weather.
Yeah. Which, how it should be.
Right.
How-
And on that note, let's talk. Oh, I had a caption for this one. Here we go.
Those I can see. Ah, yeah, exactly.
I was prepped for
When the
this.
cloud leaves you. I see. I like it when the cloud leaves you.
Right. Does it
I mean,
give you a dear on-prem note?
yeah,
Um, in
dear
some
John
ways,
LLC.
right. In some ways, I feel like this is actually one of the cases for staying on-prem, right? You buy a software package, or at least you used to, that you could get a license to, and if you stop paying the license, then you stop getting support, but you could still use the product.
Yeah,
Um, and then, if they decide to discontinue it, fine. You kept using it. You just didn't have support for it. With the
yeah,
cloud, when they're like, nah, we're done, it's just off.
yeah. And now, as far as like shutting off the lights, like we're gonna roll up the carpet, lock the doors, turn out the lights, we're done. The likelihood of that happening to AWS, GCP, Azure, effectively zero.
On the whole, yeah.
However, over the last 5, 6, well, let's say 8 years, every pseudo large ISP has decided to have their own cloud offering, and everyone, there's all these little small players.
Hold
And
on.
like, so when we had Tony on, what, 2 weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
he was complaining about a former employer. They were using, I want to say it was CenturyLink, their cloud, and it was crap. It was garbage. Maybe it wasn't CenturyLink. Who the hell was it? Yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter.
We're gonna do a
Now,
little
the
switch
likelihood
here.
of one of those wrapping it up, I would think, would be significantly higher, especially when it comes time to do a hardware refresh, and they haven't been getting the profits that they were expecting.
Right.
What's the likelihood of them just shutting the lights off?
Let's see if I can find a listing of well, here we go. Top 10 cloud service providers in 2021. Of course, we have AWS, Microsoft, and Google,
Yep.
all
And
in the
probably
upper right quadrant.
Oracle, they have their own
Al-
thing until they lose interest.
Yep. Oracle,
Uh,
Alibaba, and IBM.
oh, Alibaba.
That's right.
Yeah.
The top 10 cloud providers, 6 players.
Yeah. Yeah.
That means if you're running a cloud that isn't
And you're
one of
not,
those,
if
don't
you're running a
don't
cloud and
bother.
you're not one of those 6, you should probably be white boxing one of the other 6's product. If you
All right.
really think you want to play in that space.
So
But
I
then
found
what are you
numbers.
adding?
I found numbers 7 through 10.
Yeah.
And all right, folks, here's a chance to name it out for you. What do you think they are? Any wagers, Brian?
It's gonna probably be some ISPs like Time Warner or Spectrum or
Oh,
CenturyLink
you'd think,
or
but no.
really
Yeah.
trying to think of who else it would be. One Neck maybe or something.
Again, you're thinking ISPs, which is unfortunate, but wrong. Hold on. Turns out I can't do carriage returns in that, so
Unless you go like hosting providers and kind of stretch the definition of cloud, like
now you're thinking
okay,
about it. Now you're thinking about it.
WordPress,
Nope, because
GitHub.
WordPress not a hosting provider.
Well, no, WordPress does host.
Yes, but they don't use their own infrastructure.
Well, I don't even know whose they use. I just know you can host through them. Trying to think of who else.
You're gonna love this. It's gonna be fun. This is like playing Trivial Pursuit with me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you lots of clues that are completely useless. You're gonna feel like I gave you something, but I didn't.
Okay.
Also, don't play Trivial Pursuit with me because it's super annoying.
Okay. So no ISPs.
No ISPs. You ready for this? And here we go. No, that's the button I want.
I do them countdown style. Salesforce. What? Okay, Rackspace. I understand. VMware doesn't run their own. At least I don't think they do. Salesforce. That's software as a service. They don't provide generic cloud hosting. Same with SAP. Rackspace does. VMware does, but I don't think they own their infrastructure. I can't remember who they run on. I think it was AWS.
Awful list. Let's see here. See if I can get to the bottom of this article. It's interesting to me that IBM Cloud is in the list, right? Like I know that IBM still maintains some of their own infrastructure, and they do a good job for what they do.
It's probably not a generic offering. It's probably more specifically for their like I don't even know what to call it because they've all for the last few years they've been all about kind of professional services and like management consult like business operations kind of stuff like so abstracted from what
they're still doing like deep think and like AI for healthcare and things like that. Like they're maintaining a fair amount. Every time you think IBM is dead, you're wrong. They're just chasing the next dollar.
Yeah.
Right. They never want to be the commodity. And I wager that they are making a lot of money doing that job. They'd have been closed by now if they weren't.
Oh, yeah. For the size of them, I mean, they're not the size they used to be, but for their size, they are pretty nimble.
I would say that they actually are probably about the same size. They always have been. It's that the larger IT and compute market has grown beyond where they were.
Okay.
Like if you think of them as like a percentage of the market, yes, they're smaller than they were. But if you think of them as a specific size that is able to move nimbly, I think they've actually managed to hold steady. And because of that, I think they're going to be around longer than anybody else.
Yeah.
Like I think IBM's going to be around when Amazon is dead. Because let's face it, Alibaba's going to win. That's Chinese money.
Yeah, see, I don't know.
And then the Chinese don't care about money. They just print more people. Am I wrong?
No, I mean, you're not, yeah.
I had a history, civics social studies teacher in high school that said to me in high school, and well before I think most of the populace really understood the threat that China was. It's like, look, the Chinese play on a different scale. When the US wants to build an airport, we bring in a bunch of bulldozers and grading machines and we engineer it and we spend like 6 years to get it just flat enough, and then we start the airport project.
Mm.
The Chinese bring 1,000,000 people.
With small hammers.
No, they just bring 1,000,000 people to walk on the ground for 2 days. And then they put them back on their farm fields. Done.
Yeah.
It's a different scale of operation. The only saving grace that the US has against China is that we're playing in a realm where that much brute force, people capitalism doesn't have as much of an effect. Like, it doesn't matter how many people you throw at a machine tool, it doesn't run any better.
No.
Right.
In fact, quite the opposite.
Right. But when you're talking about like modern electronics manufacturing, you can totally replace. Yeah, like you can replace a robot with 1,000 people making little connectors, and if they get it wrong, you can fire them, right? And that's what China does. Like that's Foxconn.
Yeah.
And it's
mess
awful.
up again, and we remove the nets.
No, they won't remove the nets. Mostly because it costs a lot to clean up.
Probably slows down production.
That's correct. Slippery red and pink pavement is not good for production.
I imagine it would be.
Any hoozle. So yeah, what happens when your cloud provider discontinues the service you were using? That seems like inappropriate after that conversation.
I guess a lot of it depends on how specialized that component was that you were using. If it's, say, I don't know, a WAF or a load balancer, you can spin up something different pretty quick. If it's something more fundamental, like a database, that can be a little bit harder to pivot on.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if a cloud provider comes out and says, let's take Microsoft, because I like to pick on them.
Yeah.
If they were to come out tomorrow and say, hey, in a year, we're discontinuing Cosmos DB.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what the overall industry would do. Cosmos is an elastic database. It has some specific APIs and interfaces that have been written for it in the Microsoft ecosphere. That actually would be survivable because at the end of the day, it's just an elastic database. It actually doesn't run all that well. It is globally available. Microsoft takes care of all the like global load balancing and tuning. But you could probably just as easily buy the same service from AWS or Google. You'd have a little bit in development work. If you have like huge security obstacles around like private IP space and you're in Azure for that, and now you've got to incorporate Google. Actually, that'd only add like a month and a half with a decent networking team.
Well, let's see, this kind of builds a case for an appropriate level of abstraction as well as closer to like a microservice kind of
Right.
architecture for your app.
It's
Split things
it's
up
when
as
you
much as
get
you
in
can,
yeah, it's
or as
when you
much as
get
makes
into
sense.
things like because like Cosmos DB is definitely platform as a service. Um, but if you get into things like uh, Azure App Service, that is a much harder sell. Like now you're talking about not just effectively connection strings um, or API calls. Now you're talking about like refactor your code,
Yeah.
and that costs. Um, I will say that Microsoft, when they choose to make a change, they do telegraph it pretty clearly. Um, the longest I've seen, or the shortest I've seen them go, is about 4 months, and that's things like, "Hey, we're not going to support TLS 1.0 anymore."
Which,
Okay,
yeah, you shouldn't be anyways. So totally
right.
get it.
Like giving 4 months to say, "Hey," you, granted, they were also saying they were going to support TLS 1.1 either, but again, like they were moving to TLS 1.2, something that should have been present in your environment and fully adopted probably 2 years ago.
At least, yes.
Um, so saying we're going to discontinue support for it in certain contexts, um, like giving 4 months of warning is actually pretty generous. Um,
Well,
I think,
for that particular case, it comes down to like you as a person running the infrastructure or the app or whatever. That's not really you. The problem's going to come for like limiting what TLS versions. It's going to be clients that most likely you have no control over anyways.
yeah.
So it's four
So
months is either way more time than you'll ever need because there's nothing you could do anyways, or it's not enough time to even conceivably start trying to mitigate it.
correct.
That's
So
there's no in between.
so let's go on a little cloud journey here. Let's say you're a startup, circa 2019,
Yeah.
um, and you decide to leverage cloud in order to really get moving rapidly. And it's hard to find good developers, so you find some decent contractors who write some stuff for you. And they turn out not to be that decent, and they write you some stuff that's TLS 1.0. Um, and then in late 2021, you get the word from Microsoft that you need to support TLS 1.2. But at this point, you don't have any internal development resources. You fired the really bad contractor who was really bad because they wrote you stuff in TLS 1.0. Yeah, you're dead in the water.
And you'd
Like you
almost have to
can't
try and
hire.
do something. You'd have to be doing something really weird where that would ever be a thing. But I get the point you're getting at. Yeah, you've kind of you've painted yourself into a corner just as much as the
Yeah, but you
hypothetical
don't know
Microsoft
you're
has.
doing it when you're doing
No,
it.
not necessarily, because you're. That's why you're hiring people to do this development. You don't necessarily know.
Right. You've got a good idea, you're trying to get up to speed, and you do what you have to do. Um, and then it doesn't pan out for you. Um, hopefully your idea paid off. Hopefully hopefully you can afford to buy some really good developers that can move quickly. Because the shift from TLS 1.0 to 1.2 is not that hard
No.
if you know what you're doing. And if you don't, well, then you're screwed. Um, yeah, I'm trying to think about. I mean, it absolutely is the case that cloud providers can totally pull the rug out from under you. They,
Mm.
at the end of the day, their business is meant to be profitable, and if they don't have enough people using the product, they're not going to keep it around.
Yeah.
And I don't care who you are, you don't have enough money to pay them to keep it around.
Well, and so money is the other way that a service can effectively disappear, but it's still there. Let's say Amazon decided, well, S3 isn't as profitable as we thought it would be. All object retrievals are going to be 10 times the price now.
Sure. Right.
You just forced a whole lot of people to make real difficult decisions just by changing pricing.
Right. And if you're lucky, they tell you far enough ahead that you can decide that you're not going to use that service and you're going to move it someplace else.
Yeah.
If you're not lucky, you're still going to have to pay the retrieval.
Yeah.
and and it's going to cost you. Yeah, I don't like to think about those things too much. Granted, I will say that the provider, like I've said, I think the providers, generally speaking, publicize that far enough ahead that you can take action, particularly on big things.
Yeah.
Um, I will say that if it's not in general release or if it's not GA, GR, don't do it. If the cloud provider hasn't put it in GA, um,
Don't touch it.
they're not giving you any kind of SLA,
Oh,
right?
no. And it could
And
disappear or change fundamentally at any time.
right. Um, I'm not sure which is worse. Fundamental change makes you think you can chase, right? Like,
It's
oh,
the carrot.
well, it's still there. How much money do you dump into that before you recognize that, like, oh, wait, this isn't going to work for me? As opposed to just like, it's gone. Like, oh,
Depends on how well you assess that change up front.
you don't know what you don't know.
This is true.
Um, as a, as a longtime systems guy, I can tell you, you don't know what you don't know. One of the biggest challenges in estimating anything in the systems world is the wild variability that is Windows systems.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
and if you're like, oh, I'm a systems person, okay, great. What do you work on? Linux. You're not a systems person. You should just work in networking. Although you probably don't have the chops to do it if you're just a
Linux is
Linux
more
person.
similar to networking than
Yeah,
Windows systems.
right.
I mean, Linux, and the same goes for networking or security. The stuff generally does exactly what you tell it to do.
Yep. Yep.
It doesn't get creative.
I mean, don't you? I will bash the Windows ecosystem all day, every day, because it's awful. But also, I have a job, so keep going, Windows.
Well, it's trying to mitigate that as much as possible.
Right.
Try and automate everything. Try and make it so everything's repeatable. I mean,
And
that's not just for cloud, that's on-prem.
right. I will say that the Windows systems world has taught a lot of good lessons that are really applicable to the cloud. Um, and I feel like because of that, systems people are really well prepared for the cloud. They don't necessarily know it, but they
Yeah.
are. Like, the winds can blow whatever they want to in the cloud. For like dyed in the wool Linux and network folks, like that wildly unpredictable landscape is, I think, is pretty uncomfortable, right? Like,
Well, the
think
nice
of the
thing about
ways,
a Linux server, you have like 7 config files that you have to worry about, and that's the entire configuration for a given server, minus like packages that are installed. But even that, I think it's way easier to keep consistent.
Absolutely. Well, it's way easier to diagnose issues, right? Like, oh, it's not working right. Like, you can trace that stack really well in the Windows world. Like, well, it did a thing. Why did
Yeah.
it do the thing? I can place you somewhere in the top 80% of causes.
And now I have a memory dump that I can't make heads or tails of.
I can rule out 5% of the eventualities. As a person that got into computing because I thought the technology was interesting and logical, uh, oh man, was I really disappointed when I realized that I was a systems guy.
Yeah, but I mean, isn't part of SRE kind of turning it back into something logical?
Um, you know, SRE is largely about embracing the idea that you just don't know sometimes, and that's okay.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Embrace risk, embrace failure. Like I said, I think that um, in the cloud world, uh, Windows Systems has actually prepared a bunch of really good engineers um, because they've learned to deal with unpredictability um, in a organized, systematic way. You can wrap systems and process and automation around an unpredictable world and make it into a predictable one.
Yeah.
Um, and when you're forced to every day, it it really prepares you well for the cloud because that's exactly what the cloud is. It's unpredictable. Um, like you think you might know a thing, and then tomorrow the vendor can do something stupid
Yeah.
without pulling the rug out from you. Like, oh, oops, we had a guy in a data center that thought he knew how DNS worked. Turns out he was wrong.
Mm. Or worse, we gave a developer control. We had gave him right access to DNS. He
Uh,
told us he knew what he was doing. He didn't know what he was doing.
and this is why, no matter how tempting it is to give developers
No.
control of DNS, you don't because
I
they don't
don't
get
know
it.
why they don't understand DNS, which is really simple. They don't understand certificates, which is really simple. You'd think both of those would be fundamental to their job, knowing how those things work.
So, as a systems and networking person, it's really tempting to think of developers like we think of ourselves, right? Like we think of technology. Um, they can think of themselves as technologists. By the way, a term that I really hate. Um, and there are people at the upper echelons of both groups that are like, oh, yeah, I'm totally a technologist. I understand certificates, and they really do. But then they talk about other people, and like it trickles down. You get to the mid to bottom tier of developers, they do not understand those things because they don't need to. They need to understand how to write things in .NET, whatever language is being used in .NET. They
Yeah.
need to understand build pipelines and release pipelines. Um, different discipline. When you're talking about like certificate architectures, that is very, very infrastructure-y.
Yeah, but there's things they should understand. Just simple how their application works, like how those flows work, what talks to what, when, and why. I mean, I know I personally have had developers want me to open firewalls. This database server needs to talk to this app server. Don't you mean the other way around? No. Yes, you do. Or, well, this happened at our previous common place of employment. This web or this file share needs to be open to the internet. No, it doesn't. That's absurd. Well, but that's where we're storing our files that are served up by these web servers. Yeah, see, the client doesn't access those directly. The web server grabs them and sends them to the client. No, it doesn't. Yeah, it does.
Unless
Just
you're
trust
doing
me
it
on this
wrong.
one. unless you're doing it wrong.
Um,
Just
yeah,
simple things like how that whole interaction takes place between the client and the server.
but you think about it from a developer standpoint, to do their core job,
They
they
don't need to
don't
know.
need to know,
Oh,
right? And who's going to teach them?
you'd think that you'd pick that up accidentally.
If you were systems or networking, like if you were an infrastructure person, absolutely. Like that's how your brain works, right?
Yeah.
These are not systems or infrastructure people. They're just not. Um, their brains and their goals work different. Um, have you ever met a really good DBA? Actually, you have. I know
What? Yeah,
you know a
yeah.
really good
One.
DBA. Um, the way their brains work around data and query execution is foreign. Like,
Yeah.
I don't get it. Like, I'm a certified Oracle DBA. I do not get how, like, dyed in the wool, hardcore DBAs think. And I don't need to. But if I were going to play in their sphere, I would absolutely have to start to have that understanding.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
and like, this is the third leg of IT as far as I'm concerned. Um, you've got your systems networking folks, you've got your developers, and you've got your data people, like your
Yeah.
database people.
Yeah.
I don't want data scientists or data analysts thinking that somehow they're in the same group as database people.
No, they need to know some of that, but it's a different.
Right. They don't think that
They know
way.
stuff that a DBA will never know, and vice versa. It's a
I
completely
mean,
different.
data scientists are amazing. Um, data analysts, like they do stuff. Um, but in all seriousness, like that's the difference in mindset between a developer and an infrastructure person and an infrastructure person and a DBA and DBA and a developer. It's a different way of framing your world. Yes, you all work in IT. Yes, you all work with technology, but the way that you think about things, completely different. When I have to, like, I do a fair amount of like simple coding now. Um, the amount of frame shifting I have to do to get myself in the infrastructure mindset is pretty impressive. Like I've worked enough in my professional life to be able to kind of have a sense of that switch. It's crazy. Like I need a good 5 to 10 minutes to like take the one hat off,
Yeah,
put the other
it's a
hat
context switch.
right.
There's a cost to that.
Oh, it's huge. Um, and I've been making that kind of context switch my whole career. And the more I work on Cody things, the the more I recognize that it's a big switch. And then like I try to shift myself into like somebody that's been a dyed in the wool developer their whole life. Man, DNS makes no sense to you. And that's okay. It doesn't have to. That's why we're here. Just remember we deserve money too.
Yeah, well, whatever's left over that they don't get, which isn't very much.
Right? It's my favorite when people are like, well, infrastructure, you don't actually generate any profit. But don't we?
Yeah,
What happens if we take it away?
yeah. We're-
If the infrastructure stops, how much money do you make? Well, do
There
you
you go.
pay
You
your
just answered your own question.
right? If you pay your electric bill, um, would you choose to close business if your electric bill doubled? No. You would find a way to make it like to cover that cost, right?
Yeah, you can pass those costs on. It's
Right. You'd probably fire a developer or two. Um, the same is true for infrastructure, right? Like if your infrastructure people are like, you know what, it costs you double next year. You can try to squeeze them.
no, that's when we get the stupid question: capex or opex, which is doubling.
Yes.
I mean, I get it, but still, it's stupid.
Oh, don't get me started on the capex versus opex.
Uh, the
The
dollars spend the
dollars are all
same.
green.
Yep.
It's like, ooh, I don't want payroll, but go ahead and have your opex be twice as what it was last year. Wait, I can get you the same solution for a quarter payroll of what the OpEx would be. Nope, OpEx is better.
Yeah, but payroll they feel like they're locked into, and opex I think they can scale down on demand.
In many ways, it's the other way around. In the state of Wisconsin, as well as many states, it's the other way around. You've signed a contract for OpEx. You're going to pay that contract.
Yeah.
Full stop.
Oh, especially if it's telecom, you'll have a minimum spend.
Mhm.
Almost certainly. Any cloud provider, I mean, if you want a decent discount, you're going to be signing for a certain amount of spend as well.
Or a certain period.
Yeah.
Like decent pricing from Microsoft after your introductory period um, comes at the cost of 3 years, right? I you can you can let people go gracefully. You can get them a new job from payroll in like a year. You're not gonna, even if you just let them go whole hog. Yeah, you'll pay unemployment insurance for a while.
Which
It's gonna
is
be less.
for any tech position, it's basically not. I mean, it's nothing. What's the cap on unemployment these days?
It's tiny, at
A
least for
couple
an
hundred
employer.
bucks a week. It's something stupid. I don't even remember what it is.
Right. Like you're wasting that in keeping the lights on.
Yeah.
Right? Like just just don't. Um or you're wasting that by being in the cloud.
Well, almost certainly.
Uh so yeah, like there you go. Keep keep employees employed. They're cheaper. Like I don't want to see you fire people and everybody's going to be mad at you if you let half of your workforce go, but um well, everybody but your investor is going to be mad when you let half of your workforce go.
Eh, depends on your investors and how strong your board is. A good board will tell the investors to STFU. Sorry, we have a long-term plan. We're not gonna pump and dump this thing.
Right.
But
Right. Uh, so what else? What else we got for topics? Because I feel like we've beat this one not to death, but we've threatened it really carefully around the edges.
mhm. No, that's the only one I really had lined up. Let's look. I've been so damn busy.
I feel
See if
you.
there's anything in there.
So nebulously, let's talk about what you've been working on lately, without giving away any trade secrets. Um, what has been the bulk of your work these days?
Trying to convince people that are legally mandated to have things patched. But having something that hasn't patched in 7 years is unacceptable.
Okay. Okay. That sounds fun.
And a lot of these are, at worst, a half an hour outage. Many of them are no outage whatsoever because it's all HA. But the pushback is for real.
Huh. Well, I'm glad they're
Lots
paying
of
you well for that service.
I'm not sure if they're paying me enough to cover the frustration because the number of emails I send that never get any response whatsoever is astounding.
They probably just have a
Like, hey, reminder, I need this information.
they have an email box, their inbox, and then they've got a folder in it that's like noisy contractor.
Yeah.
And you're just the latest resident of it.
Oh yeah. They churned through a lot until they got me and one other guy that actually knew what the heck we're doing.
Fair enough.
A lot of the other, they lasted like a week or two. But
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the nature of the beast.
yeah.
I've been working on a lot of process stuff, improving internal process on medium to large corporation scale, and getting an SRE initiative off the ground. That's been fun. And yeah, working on like automation and infrastructure as code. I'm not a developer, though I'm starting to definitely do more than play one on TV. Like doing logical flows in any language, whether it's a hardcore development language or something as simple as like PowerShell.
Yeah.
Not always easy, but I'm getting there. Getting there.
Good.
So it's gonna be fun to see what happens.
Indeed.
Yeah. Thankfully, I don't have a ton of people that are like legally obligated to patch things. I mean, there's the old like, yeah, sort of. It's private business. There are people that pay you money to do things. Are you responsible for it or not? Like, yeah, you can end up in a court case that's longer than the Depp heard thing, but without all the like scat in a bed.
Yeah. Well, and see, my legal mandates, it's more than just you have to do this because we say you have to do this. This isn't like SOX or PCI. This is you will do this or executives will go to jail kind of mandates.
Right.
So
No, I'm actually
slightly
familiar
more at
with
stake.
I'm familiar with both of the the worlds where that can exist.
Yeah.
And it's different language in each of those worlds, but one is a little clearer. The other one actually is way more risky. Just because it's less clear. Like when your mandates are clear, it's easy to avoid trouble, right? Now, if you're not bright enough to avoid that trouble, but when it's like this nebulous thing where, hey, you should know this thing that's impossible to know.
Or like PCI, where everything is super squishy.
Yeah.
And so open to interpretation.
Right.
Until you step a little bit too far on the other side of the line, and then you're getting $1 million a day fines.
Right.
or you don't process anymore.
Right. Well, just to keep the mystery on, I'm not going to mention the one that is less squishy and more specific, but, well, super actionable. Um, the language that can get you in trouble is very, very specific, but the language around how to prevent it and what you need to do to not be in trouble is super squishy. So, like, basically, it's a guaranteed lawsuit. Um, I'm not going to mention which one that is. If you've worked in that industry, you'll know, or you won't. And then I'm communicating poorly.
I can guess.
But that's the other industry. Um,
Yeah, and that industry, if it's the same one we're both thinking about, the compliance, I just from people I know that work in that industry and from what I've seen, I'd be surprised if actual compliance is even into the double digits.
oh, it's
It's
not.
so
There's
horrible.
no way to
So,
comply.
so horrible.
Well, how do you action against like a standard that isn't there?
You just ignore it completely. That's what most of these places do.
Right. You buy insurance.
You'd think your insurance would be forcing you to do these things.
Yeah, but they don't understand it any better.
True.
Unfortunately.
In those insurance questionnaires, I've seen them, and it's basically take super squishy and then have it interpreted by somebody that doesn't understand either the legal ramifications or the technical ramifications, and they try and translate it into something that makes sense to them and put it in the questionnaire for the insurance. So it becomes even squishier. Yeah.
Yep. I I've had to comply in one business with all four of the four horsemen of the compliance apocalypse.
I don't think I've ever had to do more than two.
Um, it was awful. But I can tell you which one I would most like to comply with.
Yeah.
Socks. Socks is the easiest to do. PCI, yeah, it's squishy, but people get all nervous about it, and like, it's the banking slash credit industry, like
Yeah.
lording things over you. Some of it depends on which auditor you get. Like, how much bullshit do you need to feed them?
Well, even then, they're really super lenient as long as you don't go
A
dark.
bad day, you're just screwed.
Well, all it takes is, especially Amex, they're the ones that get real persnickety.
Yeah. Well, because they take that stuff seriously.
Yeah.
I will never have a personal Amex card. I just can't afford to. But I will give them props for taking all of those principles really seriously.
Yeah.
They are really good at protecting their customers and their members. Um, they charge their members an arm and a leg, but once you've paid that dollar amount,
It depends. I mean,
yeah. I
if
mean,
you
it's
have
a
credit,
business
your
like
interest
anything
rates
else.
aren't very high. I mean, it's not, they're really not that bad. And there are a lot of benefits
Yep.
if
Yep.
you're some. You can definitely be somebody that probably shouldn't be having any of the higher end Amexes, and you have them anyways, and you're not getting any value out of that. But at the same time, it's very easy to get all kind of value out of that, way more than you're ever paying it. So it's just knowing how to work the system.
Right.
But
No,
yes,
no.
they are very strict on the whole PCI thing. and they will totally go to the mat for their card holders.
They will.
They will win.
And they'll do crazy things, like getting people out of countries in World War II.
Yeah.
They are on record as having done so, which is nutty. Like,
Yeah.
that's not a credit card company. That's like some kind of weird club, nearly cultish behavior.
Yeah, practically.
But I just want you to know, wait for it, viewers. Brian can't see this, which is why it's fun.
I mean, I can open up the actual video in another.
You could, but what's the point?
Oh God!
Just open the captions. Hey, wait! If you open the captions interface,
doesn't show me. It shows me the captions. It doesn't show me the tickers.
You don't have tickers?
I have the area for it, but I can't see the ones that you've added like I can for the other ones.
Can you expand it?
Nope.
Oh.
The little triangle does nothing. It spins.
We have feedback for Restream.
Yeah.
Not that they're gonna listen.
Yo shit. See, I think this is like a brand new feature.
Yeah, no, it's totally new.
I don't think it was here last week.
It wasn't there last week. But you give me a new toy, I will play with it.
Yeah. I will break this thing. Yeah, here.
Here's a fun one. Let's see what happens when we do this. Nothing?
Nope. Yeah, the only thing that happens when you add a ticker is our names get removed. That's the only visual indication I have.
All it was saying was tickers are cool.
Mm.
I don't want to break the fun, but ooh, let's see what happens when I show a video clip. Oh, we've totally got to use that one.
So can you? So I just threw up a dumb ticker real quick. Can you see it?
No.
See?
I mean, I did play a video.
Disappeared.
Yeah, I see the names are gone. Did you see the video?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works fine. Because that's basically what I do when I start the stream.
Right. No, totally. I just think that we need to use this.
All right.
Just because it's weird.
I mean, the other one is a little...
Love it. Love it.
Oh, there's a new one here, too. I don't even know what that is.
Hey, fun story. We still have one viewer.
Sweet. I'm sorry, whoever that is. It's probably Aurora. She's the only one that loves us.
Right? Oh, there we go, Aurora. Flowers and sparkles for you.
Oh, she hasn't... Oh. She hasn't said anything in an hour, so she might be gone. It might be somebody else.
Ooh, flowers and bottles. There's bottles here.
Oh, hey, I'll drink to that.
Indeed.
See, that goes over our names, though. That's a little weird.
Oh, yeah. You are just flowers, and I'm flat.
Flat heart.
Flat heart.
Is flat heart.
Is flat heart. That's my new it's my new D&D name. Let's see, there we go. You're Brian Ether and I'm Chris Flasail.
Flip triangle.
Flip triangle cloud. There we go.
I think that's a tree and then a cloud.
You think it's a tree?
Yeah, I think that's a tree and then a cloud. Because clouds are totally lower than trees.
That's an interesting interpretation. All right, viewing audience. Here's a poll.
The orange thing.
Is the orange thing a tree or a cloud? The orange and green, blue-green thing. Is that a tree or a sail? This is the thing next to it is definitely a cloud. And don't tell me it's popcorn. The popcorn is the white thing all the
On
way
the
to the
corner.
other side of the screen.
Clearly.
Also, weird things going on your screen, like your dot face right
Oh.
now.
Oh shit. Yeah. What the
Right?
I'm like
Brian.
being abducted by aliens.
Right.
What?
Is that like
All
blocking
right.
the start of your goiter or something? I don't
Maybe.
know. Let's try this one. This one's no fun.
No, that's lame.
Oh, it's just the restream.
That's the default.
branding.
Like if you don't have a paid plan, that one's on there. You can't
Yeah,
remove it.
jerk faces. That one's like, ooh, look, I'm a fan of Marquette, Michigan, something.
And CNN.
Ooh,
I don't see anything.
I just got a messaging block.
It's a gene block.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Now that we've toyed with our viewership for a little while.
Yeah. Whoever's still listening or watching, because it might be Ziggy Iffy. He was going to have us on while he was working on his car and listening, so maybe he's the one left.
I mean, we can hope.
It's kind of sad our wives and friends don't even listen anymore or
Right?
watch anymore.
Going out to you folks. We're doing this where you can just put it on, watch TV, pull up your computer, stream the thing.
But if you're not going to do anything else tonight, like and share.
Like and share.
Subscribe.
Mash that subscribe
share.
button.
Yeah. Do all of those things.
I mean,
but
to be clear, we haven't put in too much more effort on tonight than you did. But
yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, we'll probably be wrapping this one up early because we're kind of off the rails.
I was gonna say off the rails, but then I was like, that just doesn't really doesn't adequately encompass just how far off we are.
The train full of burning dumpsters has gone off the rails into a kindergarten.
Oof. Maybe a little too soon.
Well.
Maybe not.
Yeah, we can wrap it up because we don't. We could talk about random shit forever, but because that's generally what we do. But you guys wouldn't want to hear it.
If you do, like, share, discuss it in the comments. We'll come back.
Subscribe,
we'll tell you.
Hit the bell, whatever you're supposed to do. Yeah.
Right.
Just tickle that bell end.
Can I do this?
Oh.
Did it move on your screen too?
Yes. That's what that does. Yeah.
I'm going to keep myself busy for a little bit with this. Ooh. You're making it harder. But I can still do it. All right. Well, that was fun.
It was.
As you were saying, thanks for joining us. We appreciate the viewership.
We appreciate you. We should have a really lame telethon.
Yeah. I mean, like, take calls.
I mean, we already kind of do that. I mean, we'll let anybody on that wants to come on. I mean, that's half the point of the show is people to come on and talk.
Hold on. Our last thing. I am finding a really useless charity. Oh. We are going to have a telethon. There we go. Tall Clubs International Foundation.
Oh.
That or the American National Cattlewomen. So, let's pick a date.
Probably not next Monday.
Nope.
Been asked to come to an event and take pictures next Monday.
Excellent. I think on the 17th or 18th of July.
Ooh, July, that's a long ways away.
It is. Well, you got to work up to these telethons, Brian.
Yeah, I have to look at my calendar now.
Sometime between the 14th and the 18th of July, we're going to do a telethon for either Tall Clubs International Foundation. That's TCIF, or the American National Cattlewomen Inc. That's ANCI.
And neither of us are particularly tall or cattle women. So
I mean,
we have that going for us.
we could do something that's near and dear to my heart. The Be a Deer and Donate a Brazier.
Oh, I'm a fan of things that are contained by braziers.
Uh-huh. I mean, I'm a fan of braziers too. Their tagline is "Let's fill every cup." Oh, that's adorable. I don't know. Maybe we'll give money to all of them. But when we say give money, we mean we're going to take your money and give it to them. So, telethon or virtual. What is it, a telethon when you're doing it via live stream? I don't know. We're going to call it a telethon,
It's a
for the time
telethon.
being.
Yeah.
And
Well,
we
and I
hope.
think we can't even do live or because we don't have enough subscribers.
Nope. Well,
I
friends,
think we have to have 200 or something. And we're
we need a lot.
10% of that.
We need a lot more subscribers before the weekend of the July whatever date that I just said.
Okay.
So you all have your homework. all half of you.
Yeah.
Um,
One of you.
um,
That one of you need to get us 178 more subscribers by that time.
And then we can do super chat. It'll be great.
All right. We should wrap this up then.
Indeed.
All right. I will I'll talk to you guys later. Next week sometime. Maybe
Indeed.
not Monday. Either Sunday or Tuesday. Works best. I don't even know. Chris, what works best for you?
Sunday or Tuesday. I don't know. Those are days, right?
They are.
Well, stay close. We'll let you know.
Fair enough. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Right.
Have a good week. We'll talk to you later. Thank you, the one viewer that's still on. It's probably not Aurora. It might be Ben. So, talk to you guys later.